The locked room. Come sit close. And don't ask me to check that closet before I start, because this story is exactly about a boy who made the mistake of listening too closely to a door that had been locked for 10 long years. Aaron Bishop woke up at 2 in the morning to the sound of something knocking from inside a room that had been sealed shut for a decade, and by the time he pressed his ear to that door, the voice on the other side of it was asking to be let out in his own exact voice. That's the whole horror of it right there, kids. Now let me tell you how he got to that door in the first place. The room that stayed locked. Aaron Bishop was 16 years old, living with his family in a tall, narrow farmhouse on the edge of a small town in rural Ohio. The kind of house that had been added onto so many times over the generations that some of the rooms didn't quite make sense anymore. Hallways that dead-ended for no reason. A staircase that led to a landing with nothing on it. And tucked into the back corner of Aaron's own bedroom, a narrow door that led to what used to be a storeroom. That door had been locked for as long as Aaron could remember, and by the family's telling, for a good deal longer than that. 10 years, his mother always said, whenever he asked. 10 years since anyone had gone in or out of that little room, ever since something had happened in there that nobody in the family liked to talk about in any real detail. Aaron had grown up sleeping in that same bedroom his whole life, that locked door sitting quietly in the corner like a piece of furniture nobody discussed, and he learned early on not to press his parents too hard about what was actually behind it. All he really knew was the version most kids get handed down about things adults don't want to explain. Something bad had happened a long time ago, and the room had been shut up and left alone ever since. Key thrown away, door never opened, not even for cleaning. He didn't think about. Had come back all wrong, like it belonged to somebody standing right behind him. Tyler figured that was just Dale being Dale, dramatic as always, trying to scare the younger cousins at the dinner table. But it stuck with him, the way these things do. A story gets under your skin sometime around age 10, and it just sits there, itching, until one night you find yourself lacing up your sneakers at 11:45, telling your mom you're just running to the Hendersons to grab a video game, when really you're walking the half-mile down County Road 9 toward a cornfield that smells like rot and rain. He had his phone flashlight, one of those cheap ones that flickers if you tilt it wrong. He had his hood up against the cold, and when he got there, he stood at the rim of that well, moss under his palms, the stone slick and colder than it had any right to be in October, and he waited for his phone clock to hit 12 o'clock. The corn wasn't there anymore, just dead stalks and dirt, but the wind moved through it anyway, that dry papery sound like something breathing behind you that you can't quite see. 12 o'clock hit. He leaned over the edge. The dark down there didn't look like regular dark. It looked thick, like it had weight to it, like if you dropped a stone it wouldn't clatter against water, it would just stop. He almost turned around right then. Almost. But Dale's voice was in his head, and pride is a stupid, stubborn thing in a 14-year-old boy, so he cupped his hands around his mouth, and he said it. Tyler. Nothing. Just wind. Tyler. Still nothing. He felt a little foolish. Felt his heart starting to settle back down. Felt that specific relief of a scary story turning out to be just a story after all. Tyler. And this time, something answered. It came up out of the well slow, like it had been rising the whole time he was talking and only just now reached the surface. His own voice, pitch perfect, saying his name back to him, except it came out wrong. Not wrong. At most nights, it was just part of the house, the way an old stain on a ceiling becomes part of a room after enough years of looking at it. But on one particular night in October, everything about that door stopped being background noise all at once. 2 in the morning. Aaron woke suddenly at 2 in the morning, the way you sometimes do when something in a quiet house doesn't sound quite right, even before your conscious mind can identify exactly what woke you. He lay still in the dark, listening, and for a moment he thought maybe it was just his little brother getting up for a glass of water. Then he remembered. His brother was staying at their cousin's place 2 towns over that whole week, gone since Friday. House otherwise empty except for Aaron and his sleeping parents down the hall. The sound came again. Soft, deliberate, knuckle against wood. Knock, knock, knock. It was coming from the corner of his own room, from behind that locked storeroom door that had sat silent and undisturbed for the entire 16 years of Aaron's life. His heart started hammering before his mind had even fully processed what he was hearing. He sat up slowly in bed, staring across the dark room at that narrow door, half convinced it was some trick of an old house settling, some pipe knocking somewhere in the walls. Anything at all except what his gut was already telling him it actually was. The knocking stopped. Then, after a long, heavy silence, it came a third time. 3 slow, patient knocks, exactly evenly spaced. Exactly the way a person knocks when they know you're awake and listening, and they're simply waiting for you to work up the nerve to answer. Aaron's feet found the cold floor before his mind had fully agreed to the decision. He crossed the room in the dark, his own breathing loud in his ears, and pressed his ear gently against the old wood of that locked door. For a moment, nothing. Then, from somewhere deep inside that sealed, decade-dark storeroom, a voice spoke. Shouldn't have. Aaron sat frozen at the table, 10 years of half-answers and careful silences finally clicking into place around one single, unbearable fact. The voice he'd heard behind that door hadn't sounded like his own voice by coincidence. It had sounded exactly like his own voice because it belonged to the one person in the whole world who'd ever shared it. What came out? That night, against every warning his parents gave him, Aaron went back to that door alone. He stood in front of it for a long time in the dark, his heart pounding, before he finally reached out and pressed his palm flat against the old wood. "Nathan," he whispered, "I'm here." The knocking started immediately this time, faster than before, almost desperate. 3 knocks becoming 6, becoming a rapid, frantic drumming against the door from the other side. "Aaron, please, 10 years, let me out, please." Aaron's hands found the old, rusted latch that had sealed that door for a decade, his fingers shaking so badly he could barely grip it. He pulled and pulled again, and on the third try the ancient latch finally gave way with a groan of old metal, the door swinging inward into a darkness that seemed to breathe outward to meet him. Nobody in Aaron's family ever spoke publicly about exactly what happened in the farmhouse that night. What the neighbors knew was only this. The following morning, Aaron's parents found their son standing calmly in the hallway outside his bedroom, the storeroom door hanging wide open behind him for the first time in 10 years, the room inside completely, perfectly empty. Aaron himself seemed fine, better than fine, actually, calmer than he'd been in years, sleeping soundly through the night for the first time anyone could remember. But his mother noticed one small thing she never quite worked up the courage to ask him about. Sometimes, late at night, walking past his closed bedroom door, she swore she could hear the faint sound of 2 voices talking quietly too.
Round. He was taken to the hospital. When he woke up, he confessed to everything, every theft, every detail. The townspeople got their belongings back. He was sent to prison. But to this day, nobody has ever figured out who that figure in the cellar really was that night. Was it really the spirit of Eli's mother? The people of Hollow Springs still won't go near that old well at night, because many claim that on moonless nights, through the mist, a woman still appears, 3 clay jars balanced on her head, just as before. She never harms anyone. She simply stands quietly near the old well, as if she's still waiting for someone. The End Ghost.